Hey, I'm Jamie of Leaping Cat Model Works. So today I want to share something with you. Have you ever started a project and somewhere along the way you just kind of start losing interest in it? Maybe losing steam, as I'm calling this article or this post, losing steam. Maybe you know why, or perhaps you don't. But I want to explore this topic a little bit. The topic of why do we lose steam? And first things first. So, you know what? I'm going to use my notes today. I've written all of this out. Just because reading from my notes, it forces me to slow down. Second, you know what? I'm not a presenter. I enjoy model building. I'm an engineer at heart. I don't want to use the term, I'm not a great communicator, but communication and fluid speaking does not necessarily come as a standard in all engineers. So that is one of the reasons I'm going to read from this. It's a whole lot better than using a teleprompter. I did that in one of my videos and that was completely horrible. And third, you know what? I want to deliver a clear and effective message that I care about. I care about doing these videos and I want that to show. And so because of that, I want my message to be clear so that people can watch it and go, oh, I get that. That's something that affects me, or understand what I'm presenting so they can use it to better their lives. So let's start in today's video. So I've been working on the KNR 90. This is a prototype I've been doing that's based on the Kinston Railroad 90. And I'm started having this heavy feeling, this feeling like something is building up inside of me. It's really kind of difficult and hard to explain, but it feels like something is missing and something is, just not right. It's not flowing. The process is just not flowing. I've put I don't know how many of these together. I've done custom work on I don't know how many model trains before, so it's not a new thing to me. And reflecting back on this feeling, it's a similar feeling I had on my last layout I built back in 2006 and 2007. The layout was based on a industrial design. It was a chemical plant where my father worked at. I was lucky enough to do 2 summer college internships there, so I knew the layout of this plant well. And what fascinated me about it was, of course, the trains. How the main engine brought train cars into the plant, and then these things got routed to different parts of the plant. Empties were set out, fulls are picked up, empties are picked up, full, whatever, however you want to describe what all went on. This is like a half-a-day process to drop off, pick up train cars, and then they left the plant. And it was, rather fascinating. So I had a pretty good why as to what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. I had great images of the plant. And I knew the routes of what the rails took. But somewhere along the line, I just halfway through building that layout, I just kind of, again, had this feeling of something's not right. It just felt heavy, just too heavy. And before I can explore more about that feeling or why it felt that way, fire destroyed actually that layout due to a lightning strike on my home. So I never really got to explore what was going on, what I would call a block. I mean, we have writer's block. You hear that a lot. And I'm sure that there's other blocks out there, maybe creator's block, writer's block, photographer's block, whatever you want to call them. But I think they all kind of have a root in the same thing. There's a root to it. But I think and since we're in the model railroading, I think instead of calling it a block, I'm just going to refer to it as a derailment. I think it completely describes it better. And here's the thing, it's like no matter how much you want to work on your project, this thing seems to grow. The more you force yourself to work on it, the more it pushes you back. This derailment, that's really what it feels like after one train car derails, and if you keep the engine moving, other cars are going to derail after that, and it just gets difficult, more and more difficult to move forward. And that's a perfect analogy of it, I think. So what do I do? Usually, which is not a healthy way to go about doing it, I spend up other projects, which really, what they act at, for me, is distractions. And they keep me, again, from working on the main project. And because I spin up these other projects, it kind of satisfies part of me that needs to feel busy. Having all these other little projects going on, well, it keeps me busy. But the reality is, nothing is really getting done. And let's face it, model railroading is supposed to be fun, isn't it? And I can tell you, it's not burnout. So as I explored the feelings, part of me wonder, is it just me being bored? I've done quite a few models. I've done plenty of model trains, and it's no longer a mystery. I pretty much know what I design, and what I design is pretty much how it ends up. So there's really no mystery in it anymore. But that doesn't seem to be it either, because I think about my next build, my next thing I want to do, and I start feeling energized about it. So much so that I want to start on the next thing, but we need to focus back on this, on the current one I'm working on. But like I said before, I need to complete this one, because if I don't, I know what will happen. I'll have 100 half-done projects laying around, and none of them will be done. So again, getting to the root cause of this is important to me. And I feel like it's something that's going to allow me to grow. It's not necessarily a negative thing. I think there could be some positive to it. And again, I want to emphasize that again. It's not a negative thing. It's probably a cue to grow. And that's what I want to explore more. And, granted, I said it was boredom, and granted, I can do things differently, use different techniques, but that again, I think, is a Band-Aid. Maybe I've thought about, maybe it's a lack of purpose, a meaning, a big why. And quite frankly, it could be a lot of things. And I think it's something that each of us must uncover for ourselves. But then something popped in my head as I'm writing this. Then I'm, reminded myself of a friend of mine, Lynn, who's a very, very talented photographer. And the thing is, his art, his photography, it goes beyond talent. His photos actually speak. They connect. There's something more to them than a pretty picture. Well, you ask him, so hey, Lynn, why do you photograph things? Why photography? And he has a very simple, very super simple reply. And to which he'll answer you without a beat, and that is to find God in everything. Who could argue with a guy when you ask him, So why do you photograph things? And they look at you and say, to find God in everything. That's a very simple and powerful statement. For me, I'm not 100% on the why. Is there anything that can be, really certain about anyway? I don't think there is a definite answer to what my experience is. But I'm willing to explore, and that's usually all we can do is explore until we come upon something that maybe reunites us, or at least shows us a doorway to something else higher. So let's get back to the present. I feel like art is something. Art has something to do with it. I'm not talking about Picasso art, but art as in a thing we infuse with ourselves in a way that these things become an expression of us rather than something else on the outside. So my intention is very clear. In my next post, I'm going to explore the difference between creativity versus art. So I want to invite you to join me on this journey, to subscribe to this channel, sign up for my newsletter so we can keep in touch. So until next time, keep creating.